we shifted everything and we started doing long form emails, long form mail as well. And that had a surprising response.
Welcome to the EverTrue Innovators podcast, where we meet the innovative voices behind the ideas moving fundraising forward.
Welcome, one and all, to the EverTrue Innovators podcast. Joining me are my co-hosts, Keith and Hannah. And let's kick this off with a question. What do you do when best practices say one thing, but your audience says another?
I say you listen to your audience.
Exactly. Their long-form direct mail campaign defied convention and delivered a 12% response rate and strong ROI.
Let's hear from Chicago Theological Seminary, winners of the Best Contrarian Campaign Award.
Congratulations, Chad, on being one of our 2026 EverTrue Innovators. For everyone listening, we'd love if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your role, and the Chicago Theological Seminary.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Chad Swickrath. I am the Vice President for Advancement and Strategic Initiatives at Chicago Theological Seminary. My role encompasses both the fundraising operation as well as internal, external events, community partnerships. We celebrated 170 years of academic instruction this last fall. We were a school that was founded by abolitionists to prevent the spread of slavery, with pastors going west in 1855. And from then on, we've really been on the edge of just social justice and change. Right now, we are graduating chaplains, we are graduating professors, we're graduating pastors. We are a school that, while founded on Christian principles, a third of our students are Muslim, a good portion are Jewish, and then the rest are Christian or non-Christian. And so we have people from all sorts of different faith backgrounds and all different life stances who come together to learn together, who are committed to this thing that we call justice and social change.
That's awesome. So you set out to rethink how you could grow your annual fund base. So
yes,
walk us through what led you to that decision.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things that we really noticed at CTS. So one, we're the school, as I said, that is committed to social justice, and we have this list of commitments that we really talk about everywhere. And that really boiled down to sort of three big things. We have this commitment to racial justice, commitment to LGBTQ and gender issues, and this commitment to interfaith collaboration. And so I think when we're listening to our donors and we're looking at best practices, we see that our donors want to know the impact of their giving. And so it was so easy for us to sort of put this in these various commitments. Looking at sort of the calendar of the school, we see that we move through these different commitments in the fall, the spring, and the summer. So naturally, we had these opportunities to talk about each of these commitments during those. Additionally to that, our donors stopped responding when we sent these really short messages, these really short emails. And so in talking to our donors and hearing like what they wanted, they're like, we want to learn, we want to be challenged. And so the best practice of short to the point emails, we were just like, maybe we don't do this anymore. Maybe we give them let them scroll, let them read. And so we started doing that with our calendar year end. So rather than 5-6 emails over the course of October to December, we're like, what if we just send 2 or 3? And we really focus on something interesting, something that our donors can learn and read and be challenged by. And we found that folks responded to these emails by giving, but also responding to them, telling them how they enjoyed this, telling us what they got from these messages that we started sending. And so we shifted everything and we started doing long form emails, long form mail as well. And that had a surprising response.
You deliberately went against direct mail best practices.
Completely.
To do longer copy and more intellectual or educational content. Yes. In a sector that usually chases brevity. So was there any internal debate about this, or how did you decide to commit to this approach?
So I've been at CTS for over 10 years now, and I've been in this role of vice president for the last 5-6 years or so. And so the previous vice presidents, we tried a lot of different things. But CTS has always been a place that embraces sort of experimentation and trying something new. I mean, we pride ourselves of being on the edge of a lot of this work. And so when I had this idea, it's like, we're going to do something long. We're going to have a front and a back page. Like maybe we'd have a second page, right? It's the president's like, okay, let's do it. And I mean, I'm working with clergy, right? And so these are folks and academics, and these are folks that like to talk and they like to teach. And so when I'm giving permission to people to write fully, they're excited about it. And we can send this out, and then at the end in the spring, we can say, okay, did that work? And there's things that worked, things that didn't, and we can see and we can make adjustments going on. And so I'm fortunate to be at a place that is like, yeah, let's try something new. Like, what do we have to lose? And we found out that we gained a lot of support.
Can you walk us through some of the feedback that you received from your audience, and whether that's anecdotal, whether that's more numerical, but like, how did you what was the feedback that you were receiving and the engagement you were receiving that made you realize something was working, or maybe that you wanted to switch things up?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we've noticed in switching to sort of these long form letters and teaching and educating with our mailed pieces is that we know something is working because all of a sudden we have online gifts coming in, and we did not send an email, but all of a sudden we have 5, 6, 7 all coming in on the same day. And the only way that this many people are getting to our giving form, it's not a coincidence, is because they received the letter, because our mail dropped, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a great example. The other thing is just, I have people responding to emails. I have people sending me emails telling me that they got the letter and naming what they appreciated. I mean, we have this donor base who is educated and who is involved in this social justice work, and they're very used to and very comfortable giving feedback and saying, I enjoyed this, or I like this, or this is how this is impacting how I'm thinking, and this is what changed how I'm thinking, or this is how this impacts what I'm doing in the world. And so it's neat to have a donor base that is excited about that. And willing to give that feedback. And then when we're getting it for something that we're trying new, it's just as exciting.
I really love that, because I feel like it's the continuation of learning outside of just the people who are actually at the seminary. Like there's an element that you're sharing so much more with people who are not actually enrolled necessarily, but want that desire. That's amazing.
Oh, and it just makes my work so much more exciting. And I think you're exactly right. I mean, so because we're a school, we're an educational institution, I'm doing these alumni events already that are bringing folks together, putting them in community. I'm teaching them, I'm putting faculty in front of groups of people. And this is now, my annual fund is now just an extension of my alumni engagement, right? Like I can look at these two being very much the same. So it's no longer, how does one impact the other? It's like, they are the same to me. That my year-end letter is alumni engagement because I am teaching, and any sort of my alumni engagement now is like this perfect time for me to ask, because it's just all connected, and that's really exciting. Yeah,
so not to make this about me, but I worked in annual giving before coming to EverTrue, and hearing that really just makes me giddy, for lack of a better phrase, because I feel like that's kind of the goal and the dream of having your communications feel like it's all one piece of story. It's all coming together. You've really gotten everyone to understand, like, we are sending all of this out to you. This is to educate, but also you're understanding why it's important to support back, and it's not feeling like that cold ask. And so congratulations on that, because having been there, that's tough to do.
And I mean, and CTS, we don't have a large shop. I mean, when I look at my team, there's 4 of us, and I'm the only fundraiser, and then I have my database person. And so like, I don't need to worry about juggling perhaps all of these siloed activities. Like I can streamline all of this together when I just accept that, like, my donors want to be informed, they want to be educated, they want to be challenged. And we can do that in small group meetings, or I can do that in my annual fund.
What a dream, honestly.
I love it. I'm so excited. I mean, this is 5 years of me working to try to get us to this point, and I feel now that I'm like confident in what we're doing, and that feels good.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Just to kind of go back to how you know that this is working.
Please.
you have a 12% response rate, and you had mentioned that you saw gifts coming in online, which you knew probably
Mhm.
was coming from the direct mail piece that you sent.
Yes.
Do you think that this approach could be replicated at other institutions, or do you feel like it's uniquely situated to your audience?
I think it can be replicated. And I'm not saying that maybe another organization would benefit from long form letter. I don't know if everyone has the same donor base. But what I think can be replicated is listening and is asking what your donors want and understanding why they're supporting your organization. They're supporting CTS because of this commitment to social justice. This is things that they're doing in their professional career. This is things they're doing in their hobbies. This is what CTS is doing at its core, right? And so by knowing that about my donors, I think I can give them what they want. And it's really sort of that easy, I think, at times. That easy, right? But I mean, it's simple like that, and we don't need to make it overly complex. Um,
Yeah, at the
yeah,
core, it's listening to your
it's
donor base, and yeah,
absolutely. And my donor
So,
base is there because of my mission and commitments, and so it's
right,
just they feed
right.
back and forth with each other,
yeah,
right? I think that's the bit.
yeah.
So, what advice would you give to another advancement professional who wants to try something similar? Anything that you would do differently, lessons learned, or something that you're going to be trying in the future?
There's some internal work to do and there's some external work to do, right? So I mean there's asking questions and listening to the donors, figuring out why they're supporting the organization, why are they supporting CTS, and what sort of information do they need for me to be competent in CTS. There's also the internal work of CTS has worked hard to be an organization that's embracing change and that embraces experimentation, and
Mm.
that's can be really hard to get to that point. There's times where I think I've done things and it was like this was a flop, like this did
Hmm.
not work, and we need to pivot, and we need to pivot now because all of these changes you're making in your annual fund have implications, like impact where you're going and impact your fundraising. And so if something doesn't work, like you have to be willing to say, oops, like let's try something new. How can we pivot? Um,
Right.
and that's okay. And because you can pivot. There's always still a little bit more time, I think, especially when you're playing around with this. And you take what works and you change what didn't. And
So it sounds like there is some level, you have to have some level of comfortability with risk, and that you take a risk and you have to be willing to test, learn, and adapt quickly.
yeah, and I mean, and we didn't change everything all at once. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't. We switched to this long form letter, and we were still sending multiple emails that were really short. What we found, people were responding to our letter, people were not responding to our emails, and so then it's like, okay, so let's do this a bit more. Let's lean into this a little bit more. And so now it's long form emails, and it's people are responding to our letter and people are responding to our emails. So we can make those small changes incrementally, sort of as you advance, and that's a little bit maybe more manageable or more palatable for an organization.
One thing that you mentioned at the beginning of this discussion was people wanting to understand their impact or the impact
Yeah,
of their gifts. And so, just like it's not just necessarily the length of the content, but what's the context of that
sure,
content.
sure.
So, any advice around connecting donors to impact that you would want to share?
Something I really love doing with CTS is that we have this collection of staff and faculty who understand how they are connected to the mission and commitments of CTS. So from our directors of our facilities who's managing our building to the folks in admissions and recruitment to our faculty, they all understand how their role is connected to the mission and commission of educating students and bringing about greater justice and change. And I just let them talk. Like they all know their job so well, they're all excited about what they do that I can pose a few questions to faculty and then just let them talk and share. And I just let them do the work for me because they have all of that gold that my donors want to hear. They know that. And I can
Yep.
do the same thing with my folks in recruitment and admissions. Like they can tell me stories. And so like leveraging my staff, especially when they're passionate about what they're doing. Like, I mean, you see and feel the excitement in what they write or what they speak. Um, and that's what I do is like just encourage them to share.
Well, we can feel that excitement and passion from you two about what you're
Thank you.
doing. And thank you so much for sharing your story and advice. And congratulations on this award and recognition.
Thank you.
And we hope that you continue to see really great results. And we look forward to continuing to hear about them.